There you go.
I forgot to take a mouthful of Skittles.
Wait, hold on. I don't know that people can hear us, even if we
I hope
want us
so.
to go live.
Because I want to know my Skittles.
That's what I'm saying.
They can't, because Andrew just posted.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. They can hear us. I can hear us now.
I'm dumb. I muted the audio.
Oh, all right. Well, look.
That's all right, live stream.
Things to work on. It. This is still in beta.
Look at your work. What was it that I said? What did I say?
It's like, look what you've done. Look what you've done. Look at what you did.
Look at your work right here.
Sorry, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live broadcast recording of episode 494 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. We're doing the live stream a little differently this time. Instead of Brandon now has full control of the stream from his machine, so hopefully he won't break it. Don't break it, Brandon!
I will try not to.
But so far so good. I like the new elements that he used, like the countdown. I'm sure you all know the theme to our podcast already. La 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 la.
Yep.
I can sing it for you. Do you want me to do the whole thing?
No, thank you.
Sure.
All right,
Feel free to skip that if you like.
But anyway, hi guys, how you doing? Hi, Kat.
Hey.
Hi, how's your week?
Good. So far.
Good.
It's only Tuesday.
Well,
Lots of time for crash and burn.
You see, in my podcast brain, my week is Tuesday to Tuesday, right? So, when I say, how's your week been? It's more like, how's your week
from
been
last
Tuesday?
week.
Like, how was
Pretty
your
good.
weekend? Is that kind of stuff.
I think, we're all in Klingon mode. Nook neck, everybody.
Nanu.
Nanu. And Tony, how about you? How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Good.
Oh, hanging in there.
I've been talking to a group of Trekkies in Argentina, Alejandro and Nai of La Flota Estelar de Argentina. I think he's watching now. I think he said hello in the chat.
Hola.
Star Trek Argentina's on. And in the last 2 days, I think I've spoken more Spanish than I have in the entirety of 2020. So my brain is kind of like steam, like it's just smoke is starting to come out. Because I speak both languages. I mean, English for sure fluently, I'd like to think.
Most time.
Bloopers on this episode, on this podcast. But Spanish generally fluently. I can very easily communicate. Like I would never feel
You
like
cursed really well in it.
I curse no, I do more than curse really well. But there's we have a special project in mind that's Star Trek related, and we've been working pretty hard on it so far. I'm really excited about it, and hopefully you'll hear more about it as the weeks to come, and with an announcement probably end of February or early March.
Right. The announcement will be in Spanish, so you won't understand a word it says. But
maybe I don't know. There might be some bilingual. I know for a fact there are bilingual Trekkies out there. So so excited about that. The Klingon videos are hard. Those are hard to do.
Yeah, but they're just campy fun, is what they are.
Yeah.
They're just good times.
I made a tweet that said, this is what happens when you give a Trekkie a theater degree. Because that's what happens. Wear makeup and I start to scream in Klingon. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about me dressing up in Klingon and whatnot, then you're missing out, and you should follow. Well, I mean, some of you are watching on YouTube, like Alexander Caps. I see you there watching on the YouTubes. But head on over to our channel, and we posted a video on Monday. And here's the thing: it's really important that you guys share this. Like, make sure that if you like it and you want to support Priority One, but you can't be a patron or you don't have time to volunteer, then sharing this kind of content is the biggest favor that you can do for us. That's how the algorithms work, right? The more people share it, the more people talk about it, the more it gets on people's feeds. So the plan was that we didn't want to do another talking head because at this point it's just boring.
So we do a talking forehead.
So we do a talking forehead, right? We're doing a talking forehead. Jake's been writing it. Anthony and I have been sharing the workload on editing it.
It's the best 6 or 7 minutes watching a guy in Klingon makeup that I think you can spend any day of the week. And you just give it a try. Just give it a try.
The videos are short.
Definitely give it a try.
So it's not.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's in no way like an episode of Priority One where it's 30 minutes to an hour. No. These videos are designed to be a snapshot. No, very little commentary, if at all. Yeah. It's just covering the headlines in a funny character. So if you like what you see, again, share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media platform you got. Spread the word about it, right? And then of course also like, subscribe, and make sure you're up on notifications for every time we publish something on your YouTube channel. But yeah, that's that. I guess we should do a show now.
We could anytime you want it.
I mean, maybe.
Let's do it. All right. Who's keeping an eye on times?
I will.
Cool.
Say that. I have to pull this up.
You can, if you want, just throw them in a doc instead of doing it all on Discord, like Discord messages. Like if you want to just keep a little notepad open on whatever's easier for you.
Do that.
Whatever's easiest for you. And then you can start, whatever. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna start recording. You guys ready?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're still. Oh, I can't. I don't want to talk too much about it, but the project will not be called Prioridad Uno. It's too confusing. All right. All right, here we go. Kat, if you could do the cold open, please. Intro in 3, 2.
This week on episode 494 of Priority One, we check out news about Star Trek Prodigy, how a Cuban helped pave the way for Star Trek, Michael Dorn's Captain Worf pitch, and Nichelle Nichols' final appearance on screen. In Star Trek gaming, the MMO Star Trek Online has launched its 11th anniversary celebrations, and we run down what you should expect.
Hello, Captains. You're listening to episode 494 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Your weekly recap and review of all the major news happening in the Star Trek multiverse. This episode was recorded live on Tuesday, January 26th, 2021, and available for download or streaming on Friday, January 29th at PriorityOnePodcast.com. I'm Elio.
I'm Kat.
I'm Tony.
And in our live streaming booth is our live stream technician, Brandon.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
What's up, live stream?
Hi.
LST.
Yep. Let's go LST. Woo-woo.
We good for banter then? Okay, I'll move on. Captains, each week between episodes, we love to engage in conversations with you, our listeners, on places like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you aren't already following us on any of those, be sure to look us up. There we post things like community questions, special announcements, and more. Just search for Priority One Podcast on your favorite social media app, and you will find us. Or you can email us. Reach out to us at incoming@PriorityOnePodcast.com.
Captains, this week we got a nice little boost from Heather Barker, who's a big Star Trek community person, right? She's always at the conventions and she's big on Twitter because I asked her to help us spread the word that we're looking for a new host. So again, we're still interested in diversifying our voices here and elevating people and voices of color or members of the LGBTQ community. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, feel free to reach out to us at PriorityOnePodcast.com. And up at the top of the website, there's a link that says Join the Crew. There you'll find more information and how you can apply. Tony, can you say something about volunteers and if you can't volunteer, be a patron?
Okay. Okay. And if you can't spare the time to commit to a volunteer position, you can always help us out financially by visiting our Patreon website at patreon.com/Priority One. Is it Priority One or Priority One Podcast?
Priority One, you're right.
Okay, all right. There, if you join us at the $10 per month amount, you can have There, if you join us at the $10 per month amount, you can have access to our additional show, After Hours, where you can join the crew, talk more about Star Trek, usually reviewing an episode, and it's all unfiltered. There's no editing. Well, there's a little bit of track cleanup and a bumper that we put on there, but I mean, it's just raw. I mean, you're going to catch us not at our best, we'll put it that way. But it is always a good time, and it's always a lot of fun. We generally have Dr. Robert Hurt join us, who you know from the Astrometrics segments, and we just exchange frank viewpoints about things. So if a financial contribution is in the cards for you at $10 a month, join us for that, and we appreciate any and all financial contributions you can make.
And we have other tiers as well, from as little as $1 and up. So even if you can't afford the $10 level, there are other ways that you can contribute. Also, to note, patrons who are listening now, I am sharing the streaming link so that you can watch us record After Hours live, should you choose. So we're always finding ways of providing perks to our patrons. So check us out again, as Tony said, patreon.com/priority1. Kat, can you sweep us out, please?
Yes. Now let's check out the latest news from the Star Trek multiverse.
4:30, please.
Awesome.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, speaking of that, when's Orville coming out? When are we getting season 3 of Orville?
Orville.
Let's see.
Cool.
That's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, man.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah, that's what's his face from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He goes cuckoo.
Oh, no, Seth MacFarlane did that too. He did it too.
Oh.
Cool.
Copying stuff? Shocker.
Everybody
I know.
copying everything.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Seth MacFarlane riffing on some other show. I mean,
What?
golly. Not him.
It came
Yo,
from
I can't
Chicago
wait.
community, so
I'm looking forward to talking about this tonight's episode of the animated series, because it reminds me of the Badgie episode of Lower Decks. The Practical Joker is the episode of the animated series where they go through the cloud and the computer
And the primitive holodeck.
Yeah. But I think it's funny. It just reminds me a lot of
I see what you're saying. I read you.
So we'll be talking about that. And if you're a patron listening now, I think Dave Rutley, you're there, right? I shared the link, so if at 11 o'clock tonight Eastern you want to join to watch After Hours, you are welcome to do so. All right, you guys ready for Trek It Out?
see.
6-minute mark, please, for the start of Trek It Out.
Oh, wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
6-minute mark for the start of Trek It Out.
I was trying to look up the Orville.
Trek It Out.
It doesn't look good, by the way.
Trek It Out in 3, 2.
We have some breaking news from Twitter regarding the Nickelodeon animated show Star Trek Prodigy. On Monday, January 24th, Kate Mulgrew was asked about the show, saying that she had already finished recording for Prodigy.
I feel your pain.
It's a new paradigm.
Now there is a
I
video
had
with
that issue
so
a few episodes ago.
What?
Huh?
Wasn't it you that were saying prodigy? Wasn't that
Yes.
you? Yeah.
It's a hard
I'll
word
just
to say.
start that all over again because it's so far off the rails it doesn't even count.
please do.
We have some breaking news from Twitter regarding the Nickelodeon animated show Star Trek Prodigy. On Monday, January 24th, Kate Mulgrew was asked about the show, saying that she'd already finished recording for Season 1 and how much she enjoyed returning to the role of Catherine Janeway. Mulgrew ended the chat saying, quote, "I think we are going into the next season very soon," end quote.
Want me to play it?
What?
Yeah, go ahead, play the video.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Here is the video.
So excited about Prodigy. So now
I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. I certainly enjoyed doing it, and I think we're going into the next season very soon. But it's very nice to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye, love.
Thank you, Kate. So excited.
And that's it. Technology.
Did they announce they were doing a second season? I don't think they did.
The first time I heard anything.
This is the first time I think she let it slip in this little, galaxy. I think this was part of a paid opportunity that people have been doing with these virtual conventions like GalaxyCon, where people can pay and have a quick Zoom call, 5-minute Zoom call with their chosen Star Trek actor. So yeah, no, there's been no official announcement. I'm pretty sure she let slip that she's gonna do a season 2.
Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, they need content for CBS All Access or Paramount Plus, as it will soon be known.
Spoiler
Not
alert.
at all related to Disney Plus. Not at all. Yeah, but they need that content, and those animated shows are, I guess, a pretty, I mean, not easy thing to do, but a simpler thing to do, especially in COVID land. You know, if you can get the voice actors to record their lines separately, and then everybody animates on their home computers and stuff, so seems like a no-brainer.
We can move on if you guys have nothing else to say.
I think we're
Nope,
done there.
I think we're good.
Oh,
I
you're
wrote
up,
that one.
Elio. It says read by Elio, written by Cat.
Okay.
I mean,
On last week's episode of
yours. It's yours.
While we're on the topic of interviews and actors saying things, on last week's episode of Priority One, we had discussed the likelihood of Michael Dorn reprising his or lack. Hold on. On last week's episode of Priority One, hold on, let me just take it from the top.
Okay.
Tonight's just not a good night. While we're on the topic of actors giving out information during interviews, on last week's episode of Priority One, we had discussed the unlikelihood of Michael Dorn reprising his role of Worf in any of the new Trek shows. Coincidentally, in an interview with TrekMovie.com, that was posted earlier this week, Dorn was asked if he was interested in playing Worf in Star Trek Picard, to which he replied, quote, "It depends on the role. I don't want to get in makeup and just stand around and scowl at people," end quote. He also said he has not yet been contacted. Oh, I kind of wanted to talk. Wait.
I get into that next.
Oh,
He
okay,
did
okay.
talk about it, but it was good.
He also said he has not yet been contacted by anyone from Picard or Lower Decks, so I suppose we can draw our own conclusions. However, he did go into some detail about the script he wrote for Captain Worf. Saying that he envisioned telling stories about the Federation and Starfleet from the Klingon point of view. Worf would essentially be more like an ambassador to the Klingon Defense Force, trying to bring unity to the Klingon Empire.
That's a pretty interesting take. I mean, I'd like to read his script about it.
Well, this is a misery loves company thing, right? If he's got to get into makeup, everyone else has to be in Klingon makeup too. I mean, you know, everyone's got to do the same. It's not going to be just him scowling at people. Everyone's got to scowl, and everyone's got to have the forehead on. Everybody.
Must be a really unpleasant experience because he sure complains about it a lot.
Maybe it was obviously the technology was different, right? Back in the 80s and early 90s, I'm sure that the makeup was uncomfortable. But you know who's been doing creature effects and creature acting since the 80s? Doug Jones. And you don't ever hear him complaining about it.
Nope.
Well, you put on a Klingon forehead once a week now.
And now I do. Well, but then again, this is, lighter. I assume that what I'm getting from John Paladin is a lighter material, a little easier to manage. Whereas back then, for all we know, it was the same rubber they used for dishwasher gloves, So, maybe it's a little different, but again, it's mostly the complaining that bothers me.
And he is, let's be frank, he's 68 years old. I just looked up on Wikipedia before we started this. I mean, he's a little north of where you'd expect a captain to be at this point. I don't know if that's shelf life, if there's a lot more shelf life left there. But he does share my birthday, so there's that. I discovered that. So
yeah.
we're birthday buddies.
68. I didn't think he was.
I didn't know you were 68.
Wow.
We don't share the birth year,
Oh, got it.
just the day. Thanks.
Anyway.
Not topping that.
No,
Yeah.
we can go on to the next story.
All right. Okay, hold on. I'm like, we just talked about last week. It was also just last week that we were raising a glass to the memory of the Star Trek fan film ecosystem of the mid-20 to teens. 20 teens? Is that
20
a thing? 20 teens?
I wrote it for me to read. Yeah, 20 teens.
Oh, okay. I'll read it in Tony voice.
Do it.
No.
Everyone's gonna love that. Do your best Tony impression. That'll be great. That'll be good radio for sure.
I don't do impressions very well. It was just last week that we were raising a glass to the memory of the Star Trek fan film ecosystem of the mid-20 teens. And then what do we find? It's an article from WFMZ TV out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, describing the Kickstarter.
What was that word you just said?
What?
Allentown?
What?
WFMZ TV from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
My theater nerds will get the joke. I'm sorry.
No one else will, but that's okay.
All right, y'all. Pennsylvania 65000.
You can take it from describing the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Describing the Kickstarter for the sequel for the... Damn it. Describing the Kickstarter for the sequel to the fan-produced Star Trek Renegades from 2015, directed by Tim Russ. The earlier film had quite a few notable appearances from Star Trek alums, including Walter Koenig as Admiral Chekhov, Robert Picardo as the Doctor, and Tim Russ as Tuvok, just to name a few. And seriously, that's just a few. You can't go 10 minutes in that show without saying, isn't that the guy from... Yes, it is. The sequel, entitled Renegades Omenara, is boasting that they have lined up the, quote, final performance, unquote, of Nichelle Nichols, but she will not be playing Uhura. And Walter Koenig will return, but not as Admiral Chekhov. Tim Russ is back in the director's chair, leading a newer cast of stars with a few credits each on their own TV CVs. The Kickstarter is sitting at just under $26,000 as we record, two-thirds of the way to its goal of $35,000 with 12 days to go. We'll put links in the show notes to the article and to the Kickstarter, but a quick word of warning here from the Spoil Sport lawyers. Good. I'm glad you put this part.
You're welcome.
This project, as it's currently advertised, might not pass muster with the CBS legal eagles. For one thing, it's advertised as, quote, a full 40-minute show, which is a network hour-long television show, end quote, which does not work with the fan film limits of one single 15-minute project or two 15-minute segments of a single project. Also, the participation of Nichols, Koenig, and Russ seems to run afoul of the rule that, quote, creators, actors, and all other participants must be amateurs, cannot be compensated for their services, and cannot be currently or previously employed on any Star Trek series, films, production, or DVDs. Oh, wait. Dang, I can't read words. Or previously employed on...
Take it from and cannot be.
And cannot be currently or previously employed on any Star Trek series, films, production of DVDs, or with any of CBS or Paramount Pictures licensees, end quote. So, it looks like a fun project, so long as the fun police don't shut it down.
Well, hold on a second. I was under the impression, and also Cairo in the chat points out, they rebranded the whole thing. So it's no longer Star Trek Renegades, and it's not the Federation, but it's the Confederation and yada yada.
If they're not doing any of that stuff, then that's fine. But they're still calling it Renegades. So as long as it doesn't have any of those branding things on there, that's fine.
Yeah,
But,
I think they're skirting the line.
Yeah, because currently or previously employed on, it doesn't say like they can't portray the original characters that they portrayed previously.
Well, I think that's the idea, is that they can't. That's why they've changed all the things. So as long as they're not using anything, I mean they're billing it as a sequel to Renegades, but they're having to take out everything that made it Star Trek Renegades. So
maybe they have a deal with CBS and got sort of permission. Maybe.
My understanding is CBS, even for James Cawley, who was doing his stuff, and Vic Mignon down in Georgia was doing his stuff. They were okay with those productions, right? They were fine with them. It wasn't until someone came along and tried to raise millions of dollars without something to show for it that it ruined it for everyone, right? So, but because of that one person, it affected even the established fan films that were respected and left alone by CBS. So my understanding is that Renegades is rebranded entirely. They're no longer Star Trek characters in a Star Trek world. I feel like that's a song. and that should hopefully keep them safe. Because honestly, I liked the first Renegades. I thought that was a very well done fan film. I thought it was well done and looked good and was pretty
well. And that's the thing too. Is this is maybe a test run. If they've rebranded everything inside the film, but are saying it's the same crew that did this old thing, I mean that could be a new way to make it happen. You know, if James Cawley liked making TV, saying it's the same crew that did Star Trek Continues, maybe that would be okay.
Right, he just wouldn't be able to call it Star Trek Continues. He'd call it Star Trek Ongoing Adventures.
You would have to call it Space World, the Voyages of Newness.
Exactly.
And everyone would have to wear green, purple, and orange shirts instead of red, yellow, and blue. I mean, yeah.
It's like a bad Animaniacs parody.
I would, you know what? Now that we talk about it, I think I'd like to see that. I really do think that I would like to see that.
All right, we can move on.
If you fancy yourself a television history buff or have dove into the books, have dived.
Something like that.
Not a word. I dove into the ocean.
Yeah, I dove into the ocean, but I think it's have dived.
Okay.
I think that's what have dove, just doesn't sound good. If you fancy yourself a television history buff or have dived into the books and stories detailing behind-the-scenes development of Star Trek, then you've probably already heard that if Gene Roddenberry is Star Trek's father, then Lucille Ball would certainly be its mother. This, for the most part, is true. By the time Star Trek was ready to begin filming, Lucille Ball had taken full control of Desilu Productions. And if you've read Mark Cushman's These Are the Voyages, you'll have read a fun little piece of lore that Lucy, herself, once swept the soundstage of Star Trek just to help keep the production on schedule and on budget. But the road to Star Trek had begun being paved years earlier with Desi Arnaz.
Sounded weird.
Yes, it does.
Fix it.
But the road to Star Trek just was being paved. There we go. Was being paved? Was being paved?
Being.
Being.
Being. For those of you not aware, we are currently editing the show notes.
Yes, wait. This is. I can make editing sounds with the keyboard if you want.
Clack.
Is that good? All right.
That's the sound of me editing the audio too.
Okay. No, this is blooper creation live stream. There's a difference. There's a difference.
True, but I still have to edit the bloopers, so.
It's not. It's creating the bloopers.
Fair enough. I still have to edit though.
All right.
But the road to Star Trek is being paved years earlier with Desi Arnaz very much in the picture. But the road to Star Trek was being paved years earlier with Desi Arnaz very much in the picture. In a recent episode of NPR's Planet Money, the hosts give you a quick rundown of how this immigrant from Cuba helped shape television today. From abandoning the classic kinescope? Is that how you say that?
Kinescope.
Mm-hmm.
From abandoning the classic kinescope to introducing the 3 rolling cameras to insisting on a live studio audience, Desi Arnaz's influence can be seen today in all your favorite sitcoms, from The Fresh Prince to Friends to Frasier. And when Lucy got pregnant in real life and the I Love Lucy show had to go on hiatus, well, Desi had an answer for that too. Reruns and syndication. For anyone looking to enhance their appreciation for the history of television, and if you liked watching I Love Lucy and are curious to learn a bit more about the loud, bombastic Cuban man who loves Lucy, check out the show notes.
Obviously, I was going to include this story in the show. There was
clearly.
just no way around it.
You don't got no splaining to do.
If I don't got no splaining to do it. If you don't already know, I am first generation Cuban American. My entire family came from the island, just 90 miles south of Florida. And I find this fascinating, right? As I've grown older, I've grown to be more fascinated with the behind the scenes of things, right? Particularly Star Trek, right? The franchise that we do a show for each and every week. And you know, Lucy gets a lot of attention because by the time Star Trek was in production, she, you know, Desi had sold off his shares of Desilu over to Lucy. But Desi Arnaz was a trailblazer in television at the time, right? Lucy and Desi, having met on stage doing a movie, realized that they worked well together, and then took a version of I Love Lucy on the road to kind of test it out. And when they came back, they approached the studio and said, look, we want to do it. We want to do it in front of a live studio audience. We want 3 cameras. And the studio looked at them like they were crazy. 3 cameras, right? That was unheard of at the time. And now it's the de facto method of filming a sitcom. So a lot of these things that we take for granted now that we're so used to seeing in our sitcoms was spearheaded by a Cuban immigrant. And I find that incredibly fascinating, that Star Trek may not have happened had it not been for the vision that Desi had about managing his own work, right? The fact that so if you listen to the podcast, right, you learn about how the studio didn't want to pay for the technology. They didn't want to pay for 3 cameras. So Desi said, you know what? All right, fine. I'll pay for the cameras, but then I own the film. This is mine. Which was unheard of the time, and they didn't know any better, so they said, yeah, of course. It's just fascinating to me. And here's another little Trek nugget of information for you. And you might have already seen it if you follow us on social media. When we went to Ticonderoga to the original series set tour, in the conference room of the original series set, this is for real film. If you look at the scenes in TOS, you'll notice the Federation flag. It's never fully unraveled, right? It's just hanging on its pole, but it is in fact modeled after the Cuban flag. It's blue and white stripes with a red triangle, and instead of the star being inside the red triangle as it is in the Cuban flag, it's the symbol of the Federation with the stars in the grid galaxy and the 2 palm leaves. Yeah, the palm leaves. Which is incredible to me. Incredible to me how a Cuban man, a Cuban immigrant, who dealt with incredible racism in the 40s and 50s, managed to make his own production company that paved the way for things like Mission Impossible and Star Trek.
So now we know where Gene Roddenberry got all of his let me own a piece of the IP ideas from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Genius. I mean, that's fantastic. But that also credits, you know, like his strength of character, and, you know, he's just going to get it done his way.
And I don't know, for me, on a personal note, I don't know, I feel like I feel a little more connected to Star Trek. I do. Learning about these stories and learning more about Desi and Lucy's collaboration with Desilu Productions and how it then influenced television like Star Trek. It just, I don't know, I feel a little more connected. I feel a little more invested almost. I don't know. It's so weird. You know, it just makes me so much more interested in Star Trek, you know,
engaged, would you say?
What was that?
Engaged, would you say?
Engaged. And you know what? I'll say this. They really should find a Cuban captain. We should have a Cuban captain.
We got one. Oh no, he's Chilean.
With this kind of history, we should have seen a Cuban captain by now. You know, just a flag is cool, but if you really want to pay homage to the history of television, you need a Cuban at the helm. And you know what? Look, if you look at Cubans, we all look differently, right? Cuba was a hub for the slave trade, so you have white Cubans with bloodlines going back to Spain, and then you have Afro-Cubans, right? So it is a melting pot of races in Cuba. So it doesn't have to be a white Cuban, right? How much cooler would it have been if we had an Afro-Cuban at the leading the way in Star Trek Discovery, so that way we didn't get something like "Let's fly." It could have been something in Spanish, something cool in Spanish, like.
But how would you know?
How would
you know he was? How would you know he's Cuban?
What do you mean?
Mojitos and a cigar. I mean, how would you know he was Cuban? I think that's the problem. That's the
character.
problem with the captain. Yeah, that's the problem with La Serena.
And
How
also,
do you know which
how
version
come
of
you're
Skinner?
assuming it's a guy?
Oh, well, see there I go again. Yeah, how he wouldn't have to be.
Oh, I don't. It doesn't have to be. I just for default. You're right. It could have been. It could very well be an Afro-Cuban woman, or of course, no doubt. How would you know? Well, because you start injecting Spanish into the script, because it's common, right? It's something that people aren't afraid of hearing. You know, it's a very English dominant industry, and I understand why. But if we can have entire episodes in Klingon subtitles, I'm pretty sure we can inject a little Spanish or a few other languages in our Star Trek lexicon.
I agree. That's one thing Firefly did right when they incorporated Chinese words into what they were saying. I thought that was genius.
That's an excellent example.
Yeah,
Excellent
see, Ken
example.
from Chicago, get out of my head.
All right, Tony, can you sweep us out?
Well, captains, that's all the news we have to trek out this week. Now let's find. Well, captains, that's all the news we have to trek out this week. Now let's find out what happened in the world of Star Trek gaming.
29:45, please.
Did you not want to read the other bit?
What? Oh shit! I forgot. Yeah. I talked a lot. Kat, why don't you do it?
Okay. This isn't the end. Surprise. Well, not surprise. Last but certainly not least, hold on. Last but certainly not least, it is with a heavy heart that we report the passing of Richard Arnold. For those of you not familiar with the name, Arnold was known as Gene Roddenberry's right-hand man during the production of the series and went
Went on.
Okay.
And later. Circuit.
Arnold was known as Gene Roddenberry's right-hand man during the production of the series and later went on to damn it. And later went on the convention circuit as a Star Trek expert. According to Rod Roddenberry in a post on Facebook, quote, Richard's voice was the one my father most often listened to because Richard listened to the fans, end quote. Our hearts go out to his and the Roddenberry family.
Give us one more sweep, Tony.
Okay. That's all the news we have to trek out this week. Now let's find out what happened in the world of Star Trek gaming.
All right, 31:15, please. Alrighty. You guys ready to just jump into?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh shit! I gotta do Malcolm-Ezra. Wait, if I'm doing Malcolm-Ezra, then I can't read the next thing, right, Panda? If I'm starting with Malcolm-Ezra, so maybe Kat does this part.
I mean, I think it's.
I'm the same person in voice.
Okay.
Nobody should know that, though.
32.
If you're doing your job, they'll never know it's you.
Haha.
I mean, we haven't seen Elio and Malcolm-Ezra in the same room together. Just saying.
Never. Nope, that's true. We never have.
All right, sorry. 32:15, please.
Okay.
All right. Gaming in 3, 2. When we journeyed 2/3 of the year's way, we found ourselves with a blazing fortress, for we had kept Cryptic's path. That does not stray. It is hard to speak of what Grethor was, that hellish prison, cowardly, shameful, with even in recall.
Which even?
It's hard to speak of what Grethor was, that hellish prison, cowardly and shameful, which, even in recall, renews my disgust. Glorious death is evermore dear. Of course. Oh, there was a quote. I was supposed to read the quote. End quote. Of course. You're not okay. Now, of course, my fellow warriors, you've not experienced Dante until you have, well, you know the rest.
Nice. It sounded kind of like Shere Khan. That was good.
Scooby-Doo. I want to be like you.
All right, then. In the beginning, we fought to preserve the Empire as a warrior's paradise.
Oh, come on. If you're going to do it,
I
commit,
can't.
man.
I can't.
Commit.
In the
Totally
beginning,
commit.
we fought to preserve the Empire as a warrior's
You
paradise.
wanted to. You were
That-
right
that-
there.
that-
You were right there. You were like,
You were there. You were going there, and you held back. You pulled yourself back.
Act like a Klingon.
I literally just watched Pat try to bungee jump, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm not gonna.
Like,
Oh, see? Panda says I don't.
I don't. Shut up, Panda.
no. Panda, shush,
You gotta do
shush.
Warrior's Paradise. You gotta do at least Warrior's Paradise. That's
All
it.
right.
Just those words. With the most ferocious Klingon you've got in you.
All right, all I could hear was
Kabla!
All right. In the beginning, we fought to preserve the Empire as a warrior's paradise.
Yes!
Together with its wayward son Kimtar, the House of Moog endured the war zone's purgatory. Now we stand at the gateway to Now we stand at the gateway to Grethor, the Inferno itself, to draw the year of Klingon to its fiery conclusion. Cryptic's year-long revamp of the Klingon starting experience concludes with the launch of the anniversary event. And what are you doing, Panda?
What are you doing? You can't lie. Can't lie.
You had a rhythm going, man. You just wrecked it.
All right, take it back from Cryptic.
Oh, wait, are you done? Are we done? Okay.
He changed it again. Oh my.
Thank you.
Thomas.
It's all right. It's getting us to where it sounds better, hopefully. All right. Cryptic's year-long revamp of the Klingon starting experience concludes with the launch of the anniversary event. And if the new Klingon hell doesn't do it for you, nothing will. We could Whoa. I know you said to read this earlier, and I probably should have because I was not prepared for these words to go together. We could Oh, damn it. What is it? Rhapsodic?
Rhapsodic. We could wax rhapsodic.
Wax?
You wax so we wabbit.
I know. I'm just gonna rabbit season. We could wax rhapsodic for hours about the new maps, environment textures, enemies, the Dishonorable 3, and hair options. But the link is in our show notes, Captains. You have to see the screen caps to believe them.
You know, it's been a year. The Klingons have changed.
It's been 2 years.
But the Klingons have changed. It's been at least a year.
You know, I will say this. I was creating a character the other day, or I was going through my main character, a human, whatever. And it's nice when you find a new hairstyle that doesn't look like a Lego wig.
The hair is awesome. I picked the biggest hair imaginable for my new Klingon character because it looks so cool. It looks like real hair.
Now, it looks like they've got Klingons of all time periods for this, and timelines up in the Grethor, including TOS and JJ Trek. And that's a nice touch, right? That's a pretty good touch. So be on the lookout for those things when you play the mission. Oh, shit. I don't want to talk about the mission. Spoilers alert. God damn it. Captain, when you play the mission, pay attention to all the different things that you might see. I think that it's a much better touch than even how new Trek on television handles the Klingons?
I set the bar pretty high there.
All right.
Yeah, super high.
All right.
Wow.
Dang. Okay, well, someone else has to read this next bit.
Oh yeah. So Tony, why don't you take it?
With the starting Klingon experience refresh complete, this would be the perfect time to see the new sites with a new KDF tune. Also, the Klingon Civil War still rages on, and both sides desperately need cannon fodder. Brave warriors! But Stovacor's eternal glory isn't enough for some people. They want dilithium, ships, and shiny new ways to kill people. Starting with the anniversary event, Cryptic kicked off Star Trek Online's 4th recruitment event, this time for the Klingon Empire. Until February 25th, new Klingon characters, using the free character slot that Cryptic will happily just give you, they'll be officially dubbed Klingon recruits. Like in previous events, Klingon recruits get special rewards for meeting certain goals during the story and into the end game. This includes what sounds like the optional story objectives you completed with the other faction recruits, but naturally more violent. Enemies of the Empire abound, and whoever's on the other end of your transporter wants them... Oh, transponder. Enemies of the Empire abound, and whoever's on the other end of your transponder wants them dead and gone. Happy hunting. Your other characters also get benefits from the recruit's progress, like currencies, ship and ground traits, and piezoelectric execution scepters. Yeah, that alone sounds worth the effort, but if pain sticks ain't your style, how about a ship instead? Yep, Klingon recruits also get the Mkla, bird of prey of 22.
Allie. So, all right, hold on.
In the tune of Umbop.
Let me explain the story. So, as I'm doing the whole Melknezer thing for the weekly videos, the captain's vlogs, I turned to Allie for some assistance with how to pronounce some of the Klingon things, and she's very diligent in looking it up and making sure that she remembers it correctly. And the way she taught me to remember it when I was trying to record it was chla, like mbop, because that's how it is. Chla.
Chla.
What? Hold on, wait, what?
He's fixing his pronunciation even now.
Yeah.
So, editors, please do the umbop at the beginning of this.
Yeah, sure. So that's how you do it. Chla.
Chla. Okay.
Mbop. And
yes,
welcome.
Klingon recruits get the bird of prey. What? You say you're
I
saying?
said that you're welcome, everybody. Now you'll be singing Mbop for the rest of the week.
That's right. Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
yeah. Hanson's going straight to #1 on the Apple iTunes download thing. Yep, Klingon recruits also get the bird of prey of 2255, refitted for battle in 2411. Details for the scaling Tier 6 ship, along with other Details for the scaling Tier 6 ship, along with other recruit rewards, will be in our show notes. Oh, and as a side note, you can also play a Klingon from 2255 too. Discovery era Klingons are now available. Discovery era Klingons are now available as a KDF race, although identical to their modern counterparts other than their looks and uniform. Fortunately, no one's ever had strong opinions about how the Klingons looked in Discovery, so that should be controversy-free.
Okay, so just to be clear, I load up Star Trek Online, and I create a new character, and instead of selecting Federation, I just select KDF, and boom, new recruit, right?
Yes.
A new recruit for these recruitment rewards, right?
Yes. Any race that's on the Klingon that it's available. Join Trill or Trill. You could play a Farasan if you have that unlocked. You could play a normal Klingon or a
Gorn.
TNG. Yeah, Gorn. Nausicaan. Any of that you want to play. Alien. Z.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, so then again, when you're presented with the option between Federation and Klingon, all you have to do is select Klingon, and boom, you are now on your way to becoming a Klingon recruit. The other thing too is that I forget, is there a certain amount of is there a time limit is there a time limit in what I have to accomplish to get all the rewards, or is it as long as I do the recruitment, or is it as long as I start a new character, complete the tutorial, I can then take my sweet time? I can take 2 years if I wanted to get all the rewards.
Yes.
Okay.
You just have to complete the tutorial on your Klingon recruit, which takes 20 minutes ish.
Cool. Well, are you dying to see the new Grethor? I don't get it.
Okay, so when
I
you
get it.
die and when you are bad, you go to the bad Klingon place, which is Grethor. Jokes are funnier when you have to explain them.
It is funnier. Warriors, are you dying to see the new Grethor? Well, if you don't have time to start your recruit... Oh, shit, there's a longer sentence.
Yes.
Warriors, are you dying to see the new Grethor, but don't have time to start your recruit right now? Oh, shit, we answered all these questions, didn't we? Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
Did we? Not?
Well, the other massive Klingon story content dropped. Timed to the anniversary event has you covered. House Reborn continues the Klingon Civil War arc as Ja'ula's path to redeem the Empire.
And I think we're back live. So.
Yes, we're live. We're back. Okay.
Okay.
Hi. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your patience. All right. Where was I?
You were in the middle of an Mbop cover.
Okay. I'm just going to take it from the top of this segment. Sorry, editors. Are you dying to see the new Grethor? Wait. Are you dying to see the new Grethor, but don't have time to start your recruit right now? Well, the other massive Klingon story content dropped timed to the anniversary event has you covered. House Reborn continues the Klingon Civil War arc as Ja'ula's path to redeem the Empire brings us more familiar faces. Our proper review will come next week. We do want to give everybody an opportunity to play it without spoiling the mission. But if you're hearing this before playing, and you haven't looked at Twitter in a while, here's a little itty-bitty spoiler. The title's more appropriate than you might expect. Now, well, I don't think we can even talk about it, right? Because we haven't even played the mission.
Well, you just said we weren't going to talk about it, so let's not talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at.
I have opinions, though. I played the first mission.
Wait. So diplomatic paradox is okay. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, a lot of these production notes are spoilery.
They're
I
rather
haven't played
spoilery.
it yet. I don't want to read it.
I haven't played it either.
All right, we'll skip it.
Yeah, don't read the production notes then. They're spoiler-ish.
Now, so we have these two new missions, which is great, and I believe it was Cairo in the chat, and if not Cairo, I don't know who said it in the chat. I missed it. I think it might have been Cairo. So we've got these two new missions, and somebody in the chat had pointed out that, look, here are your missions, that you guys were asking for. Yes, and we mentioned last week that sounds cool when they first announced these two new missions. But, as I said last week, I would put money on there not being another mission until August, maybe October. Like a playable mission. I would put my money on that.
One thing we failed to point out in our previous discussion too is that they were up until just now revamping a lot of the old Klingon story arcs, and so some of the resources that might have gone into new missions were going into modernizing the old ones. So we need to give them a little bit more of a pass for that undertaking. It does take resources. It does take resources, and one thing that we've talked about a lot of times is that they've got the devil's horns problem. You either work on something for your new people or you work on something for your veterans, and you have to allocate resources between those two constituencies. And so revamping the old missions, getting people stuff in the T store for shortcuts and recruitment events and leveling up to level 65. Those things kind of help new people get in. So they seem to be focusing a lot of stuff on that these days, and eventually they'll get around to something for the veterans too, but we're just not the high priority at this point.
All right, Kat, I'll give you the next one.
Excuse me. Oh man, captains, red alert and brace for impact because we're about to hit the wall. Or not. Because the ships aren't restricted to factions anymore. Hear that? They are not restricted, but they are kind of. Well, wait. It's kind of a complicated discussion on an in-game. Oh. It's a kind of complicated discussion on in-game policies. Exactly the Earl Grey tea that Priority 1 loves to spill. As of January 26th, having a level 65 KDF officer on your account will unlock both factions' ships for all Fed and KDF officers on your account. Coming with the ships are their Admiralty cards, registries, prefixes, bridges, interiors, and any associated items like consoles or pets. Existing Zen store purchases are reclaimable across the divide, so your Orion engineer can have the Presidio-class cruiser of their dreams. But your Fed-aligned Romulan won't be getting their hands on a D4X anytime soon. The faction wall for ships still applies to Fed and KDF allies. For now, at least. Forever, who can say? Ship availability across red versus blue also means the end of other ways cryptics trying... Whoops. Ship availability across red versus blue also means the end of other ways cryptics trying to... Dang, I can't read this. Ship availability across red versus blue also means the end of other ways cryptics tried bridging the divide. Cross-faction packs for ship-specific traits and consoles aren't going away. You can still find them in the non-Zen... Oh. You can still find them in non-Zen stores or on the exchange. However, you won't be able to get new traits or consoles that way from here on out. Get ready to pay for those in the Zen store instead.
Oh, I'm looking at the production. So, yes, this is in fact the first step towards potentially fully bringing down the red versus blue wall. We've had discussions about this with Al in the past, and the Herculean endeavor that it would be to do that on the back end. But let's be real here. When it comes to gameplay, most players are, I would argue that a lot of players don't ever involve themselves in PvP, right? The casual player doesn't involve themselves in PvP. And that's really the only moment that the red versus blue matters, right? In every other instance, it's a hurdle, right? If I want to do a TFO and I want to get a team together from the Armada, and I put in chat, hey, looking for 2 people to do Starbase, blah, 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 then most of the time I get the question, KDF or Fed, because we can't play together, right? So I think for a 10-year-old MMO where the story arc does not depend on engaging with other players in a storyline, it might be time. It might be time to take on the Herculean task of breaking down that red versus blue wall, because in Star Trek Online, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This seems more like a cheat, right? This seems more like a... Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say cheat, because this is a way to deliver the main benefit, which, as we all know from years of discussion, Star Trek Online is about the ships.
Right.
So the main benefit of playing the other side is having access to the other side's ships. That would be what most people would be most interested in. So this is like an 80% solution to the problem of us being red versus blue. So it seems to me like they took a look at what it would actually entail to bring down the wall officially and let people do cross-team, cross-faction teaming and visit each other's star bases and all the host of other things that bringing down the wall would imply. And they went, if we just gave each side the other side's ships, that would be like most of it. That would be where most of our business is. That would be where most of the player activity is. That would be, we'd get most of the benefit by just doing this. And not to say, and according to Jeremy Bordicus over at Cryptic, even doing just the ships was a manual task that had to be handled in a very kind of drudgery sort of way. So that they're probably looking to see what the rewards are from doing that, seeing if people actually take up the challenge to make it level 65 Klingon, seeing if people pay them $20 to get this benefit, and then that might inform them going forward as to whether or not making the investment to bring down the rest of the wall might be worth it.
So you bring up something about the money, right? So before you had to purchase the cross-faction bundles, right, to get these select few ships that allowed you as a Federation character to play Klingon ships, use Klingon ships. How do we... So explain to me how that's going to change and what that might mean for the monetization of these things, right? Because people are...
monetize all the ships.
Some people are upset about it. Some people are, experiencing buyer's remorse because now technically the cross-faction ships don't matter. It's a dire complaint that I don't think is dire, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around how this may impact. Like, Kat, can you explain to me a little bit more about that transactional experience?
You mean like why people are upset, or just like
No,
the
how
advantage? This opens up a whole new round of ships because the majority of players play Fed. So they never had access to the KDF ships with a few exceptions. So now those Fed players, since that's the bulk of the player base, they can fly any of the ships that are available in the Zen store. So maybe this would encourage them to purchase said ships, especially if they're making a new Klingon character. But even if they didn't want to do that, they could still get them for their Fed character.
And what's this thing about the consoles from the bundles that I don't really quite understand?
So for some ships, and I'm trying to think of a good example, and I can't, but for some, say there was a Fed only, like the NX, that's a good example. So the NX is a Fed ship. It has an awesome trait. They offer a Lobby purchase of just that trait from the Lobby store for KDF and KDF aligned folks. So now, because you can get that ship if you're KDF, they're saying you should not be able to just get the console. That you should just get the ship itself.
And that's what they're doing. So now, if I'm a KDF player and I go into the Zen store and buy the NX, I do not get that console.
You do, but it's much cheaper to just buy the console if you didn't want the ship.
Okay. So there's a bit. So there's two things to this, right? There's the ships, and then there's consoles.
There's the consoles that you get, or traits that you get. So there are, the traits that you can get unlocked from a ship on the Fed side. You could get that trait specifically for KDF because you weren't able to unlock it or get it previously. Now you can, right?
Okay. So there's a lot to consider here, right? There's not the ship itself and pretty, but there's also the consoles that in some cases were available to purchase in the Lobby store. And then there's also the mastery trait, the Starship mastery trait, which is not available for purchase. For that, you do have to get the ship.
Right.
But now, if I'm a KDF player and I want that NX, and I buy the NX in the Zen store, I still get now, I will get the console that was on the Lobby store, and I would get the mastery trait.
Correct.
Once you rank the ship up, yeah.
Right, once you level your ship.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, no matter what they do, people are going to be upset. So, I mean, depending on what you play most of the time, I'm okay if they're trying to make, positive changes that, open stuff up for more players.
Now, it's worth noting that you can, in fact, this new Klingon recruit that you create during this limited time of the anniversary event, you can pay to have it leveled to 65 immediately. But the way that the recruitment works is it's really designed for you to accomplish as you level up, right? So there might be a task of the recruitment. So it's twofold, right? You have to do obviously what the mission needs you to do, but you're going to see a new little UI window pop up that will tell you what to do in order to meet the recruitment event requirements. These objectives do not expire so long as you've completed the tutorial.
Correct.
But be mindful of that. So for those of you who are listening to the show that may be new to Star Trek Online, create the character and maybe don't invest on leveling straight to 65, because a lot of those recruitment event tasks, which give you those special rewards, are woven into the progress of leveling from 1 to 65.
Yeah. I mean, some of the tasks, like for the one where you're given a batleth on your Klingon recruit, you have to make 1 kill with melee damage. So it's going to track like your amount of kills or whatever. You'll get a bonus for that. But some stuff is like you rank up your admiralty or you rank up your reputation. And so it does take a long time. It's not like you can do any of this stuff overnight. I mean, some of this stuff takes a really long time to complete, even without a recruitment event.
Right. Well, we did say our Fed-aligned Romulan still won't... We did say and mention that the Fed-aligned Romulan still won't be getting on the bridge of a D4X, but if that's what you're after, then the brand new Tamir-class Alliance Raider just might make you smile. I'm going to move the screen here. This year's event grand prize for the 11th anniversary event is the account unlock of the Tier 6 Tamir-class Raider. Carrying on the spirit of cooperation that was embodied. Carrying on the spirit of cooperation that was embodied in the Kittimer-class battlecruiser, the Tamir is a joint Romulan and Klingon design available to all factions. I had fun recording this as a Klingon. The ship stats were published on Saturday, January 23rd by Ambassador Kell, and they look pretty tempting. This is a Tier 6 Raider with a 5-1 weapons layout, enhanced battle cloak, improved Raider flanking, and command seating. The Repulsor Blaster experimental weapon and the Sniper Starship trait firmly establish the Tamir as a maximum range torpedo boat. So, prepare to decloak at 10 kilometers away from your target, at their flank, and unload a volley of torpedoes and watch the fireworks. All you need to do is earn 40 or more. In order to earn the ship, all you need to do is earn 40 or more daily progress points in the anniversary event, and the Tamir class is yours.
I like that look of that ship. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah, I don't hate it. And Hector Ortiz has shared the concept art that he does for when he drafts up. The way these ships are designed is, there's a basic idea. Then Hector Ortiz draws out the concept, and his drawings are just stunning, just absolutely stunning. Like they deserve to be framed. Like each one that he does deserves to be framed.
Yeah, they're really striking.
And I'm glad to see that everyone agrees it is a torpedo boat. I'm glad everyone agrees with that.
I mean, it's a 5-1. What you can't. I mean, you're kind of limited.
I'm just reading, making sure.
Wow, there's a lot of news.
Yep. Tony, why don't you take this next one?
All right. It wouldn't be a Star Trek Online content update without a new lockbox, right? And this time we've got a box inspired by the CBS. Oops. And this time we've got a box inspired by CBS's newest live-action Star Trek show, Picard. Specifically, the Picard Jat Vash lockbox is inspired by the other Shadow Romulan cabal that served as the antagonist for Picard's first season. The lockbox has all the lockbox offerings we've come to expect of lockboxes: personal ground and space traits, kit modules, duty officer assignments, new weapon packs, slow beaster items, a new pit bull pet, and a grand prize Tier 6 ship, which we'll discuss here in just a minute. In every box, there's also something new to the game, the Impossible device. This new consumable will instantly remove one injury status at random from any ground player or player starship not currently in combat. If used on another player, the device also applies an HP and outgoing healing buff for 30 minutes. To see the details of everything in this new lockbox, check out the link in our show notes.
There were a couple of things that interested me from this particular lockbox. But does the blue skies trait seem to kind of overlap a little bit with the punch it? Now punch it is when below 50% hull strength, you get a cleanse of crowd control, and you gain increased defense and mobility for a brief period, according to StoWiki. And Blue Skies is very similar in that way, where if you're a certain degree below health, your hull is lower than, I think, 70%. It starts at 70. It begins to scale a reaction to how low your hull is.
Those two might complement each other. I mean, I just opened some boxes, so I got that trait, but I haven't had a chance to test it out.
Wait,
But
so it's current missing health is when it scales?
Right. It starts to
Okay.
scale the lower your hull gets.
Gotcha.
Right. So those might be a pretty cool combo. But yeah, if anyone out there has tried this, let us know.
You see, I like that idea. I like using those types of traits for in my escorts, right? Because escorts tend to be squishy, but if I've got enough firepower, I just kind of point my nose of the ship towards the enemy and try to blow it up before it can blow me up. But I like these traits that, are the oh shit traits.
For sure, everyone needs that button.
Yeah, I have a button that links to like 3 or 4 things. That's the oh shit
For
button.
me, yeah.
Yeah, but I really like, and I can't wait to try the new disruptor weapons. I do really like disruptors. I put them on most of my Klingon and Romulan ships. So, again, I opened a bunch of boxes, so I have a whole bunch of these disruptor weapons. So I'm really excited to try them.
Yeah, don't lie. That's not what's most exciting to you.
Oh, I know. Okay, well, I was going to talk about the dogs in a minute. I got like 10 of them.
And you've managed to find a way to beat the system so that you can launch them all at once. You have like 10.
That would be awesome.
So it would be
Man.
like what I have in my room where I have 4 dogs.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. Yeah, so the pit bulls are adorable. You should definitely get a pit bull. If you don't, hit me up. I'll send you one. I have a whole bunch.
It's a
She's got
non-combat
extra.
What?
a non-combat pet, the pit bull.
Yeah, they're adorable, though.
You wouldn't send your doggy into a combat zone.
No.
You wouldn't do it.
Arg, don't be hypocrites.
What?
Don't
What?
be
But
hypocrites.
your target is free to go into battle.
You'll
Maybe,
be
but
fine sending a Horda or a Velociraptor with laser beams attached to its head. But
The
it's
Horda-
a dog. We
The
can't
Horda-
make that combat pet.
No. The Horda chooses to go into combat because it's a sentient creature, and the Targ is bred for attack. It is a attack.
What about the dinosaur with freaking laser beams
yeah,
attached?
it's got defenses. It's awesome.
It's a creation of Dr. Evil. Of course, did you send it into battle?
Don't be selective, all right? If you're gonna be an animal lover, then no
Come on,
animal.
dinosaur with freaking laser beams on his head. Not too much to ask, really.
All right, Tony, why don't you read this last one?
I think I just read the leather one, didn't I?
Oh, did you? I don't
I
remember.
just
who
read
it was.
that.
Oh yeah, Kat, why don't you take this one?
All right. Oh man, how do you pronounce this ship name? Dalkina?
Dalkina?
Dalkina.
I'm gonna screw that up. All right.
Google Translate, please.
Dalkina.
Dalkina. All right.
Those H's, man. They'll get you.
If you find yourself
Gonna get you.
if you find yourself lucky enough to unpack a grand prize from the new Jotvash lockbox, you'll get your hands Jotvash lockbox.
I heard shot Vosh.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Sean Connery lockbox.
Vosh lockbox.
Sean Connery Jotvash lockbox. That's what that is.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Seems to be a problem here.
it! Why'd you do that?
It's simple. It's the Zot Vosh Lock box. Trebek.
Open the box, Trebek.
Open the box, Trebek. I bet your mother's in there.
I'm never gonna read this.
Matt Black goes, "You won this round, Picard."
You run this round, Picard.
I bet your mother's in there. That's straight out of SNL. That's good.
Dang.
Center.
Okay.
Breathe.
I can just do this. If you find yourself lucky enough to unpack a grand prize from the Zhat Vash lockbox, you'll get your hands on the brand new Dalkina Command Strike War. Dang, son
almost
of
made
a
it.
You had it.
You can take it from you'll get your hands on.
You'll get your hands on the brand new Dalkina Command Strike Wing Warbird. This new cross-faction Zhat Vash Warbird was last seen in Star Trek Picard confronting Captain Riker.
Your mother's in the lock.
A lot of mileage out of that one.
That was good. That was
The
good.
aftershock laughs. I love it.
It's spot on. It's spot on. What the SNL skit was. That's what would have happened. That's exactly how the conversation would have gone. I bet you'll find your mother in there. Is she worth 50,000 Zen?
Oh man, I need a key to unlock this lockbox. That's what your mother said.
I've got a key right here. right.
It's a good thing they're all 15% off, Trebek. You can try all night long.
Right. That was a good
I'm dying here.
cry laugh. That was good.
This new cross-faction Zhat Vash Warbird was last seen in Star Trek Picard confronting Captain Riker and the USS Zheng He. This ship sports a 5.2 weapon layout plus the experimental weapon slot, which are typical for the ship type. The Carbon Scorcher experimental weapon deals physical damage plus a heavy physical damage over time effect with a bonus damage resistance debuff. Specialty bridge seats include a tactical command seat and a lieutenant commander universal intel seat. The new universal console bombing run passively boosts plasma damage and crit chance while clicking for a heavy is that a
Well, clicking causes a heavy damage. Yeah, it's got the click power and the passive power. So
okay. The new universal console bombing run passively.
Tell me that. Start again. Like the la 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 la, and that's hard to edit.
All right. The new universal console bombing run passively boosts plasma damage and crit chance while clicking for a heavy kinetic and plasma damage attack. The ship's trait Command Singularities adds a micro singularity hazard to the current target?
To the current
Target's
probably
location?
current targets.
current
Probably,
target's
yeah.
location. probably.
Yeah. Alright, that's what I'm going to put. The ship's trait Commanded Singularities adds a micro singularity hazard to the current target's location whenever a command or singularity ability is activated. So tell us, captains, are you going to give Riker an excuse to kick your treacherous Tal Shiar ass? The link to all the ship stats and details is in our show notes.
So, for those of you that may not be aware, this is the ship that we saw and then saw and then saw because it was copy pasted in the Great Armada Battle of Picard's season 1 finale, where it was the same ship copy pasted on the Romulan side and then versus the same ship copy pasted on the Federation side. Anyway, yeah, this is that ship. This is that ship that the treacherous Zhat Vash Tal Shiar Romulan commander was captaining on their way to eradicate the androids.
You mean the tiny village that takes up about 300 square feet on the surface of a planet?
Yes, that one.
Okay, that one. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty ship. I think it's for starship concept alien design. You can tell that it's Romulan, right? You look at it and you go, oh, okay, yeah, that looks like a Romulan ship. So I think they did well with it in Picard in terms of its conceptual design. And I'm sure that they had a lot of fun porting that over into Star Trek Online.
Yeah. I tried getting it. I opened a ton of boxes, but did not.
Well, I'm looking at the seating here.
Oh, look, Panda gave us a pronunciation. I liked
So-
his.
Also worth noting that if you're trying to compare these new ships to anything else, it kind of would be comparable to the Tier 6 Jewel Tactical Carrier Warbird. However, the hull and the shields are tougher on this Jadvash.
Jean
However, the hull
Vosh,
and
treacherous,
shields are
tell
tougher
your ass.
in the Jadvash lockbox ship. And it's less science capable as well.
You said that out.
Yeah. Okay, I think all these other games we did last week, so I think that's good. Tony, why don't you sweep us out, but say something along the lines like, well, there's a lot to unpack here, and we'll talk about the missions next week. Until then, that wraps it up for gaming news. Let's open hailing frequencies and what's incoming.
Well, Captains, we've given you a lot to think about over the next week. Plus, you just got to play the missions, and we'll
You gotta play.
just got to play the missions,
Play.
and then we got some planning to do.
Got
Well,
two
Captains,
games
we've
on.
given you a lot to unpack about the new features in the latest update, and you've got to do your homework and play the missions because we'll talk about that next week. But right now, we'll wrap up Star Trek gaming news and open up hailing frequencies to see what's incoming.
Perfect. 1740, please.
So the stream died because my computer pushed an update on my graphics card, and that's what
Nice.
that was what is used for
Oh, it-
Streamlabs.
Yep.
And it crashed
That'll
it.
do
So
it.
yeah,
That'll do.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
because I got like right as we went live, I got the notifications like, "Hey, GeForce Ready drivers are available." I'm like, nice timing there in NVIDIA.
Well, it's patch Tuesday. That's the thing, is that you always gotta take. I've always gotten into the habit when I was streaming myself. I always got into the habit of logging into my computer on Tuesdays because it's always patch Tuesday. So always run your updates before the show.
Yeah.
Before
Plus
the
your photon torpedoes and tractor beams get installed today too. So
Yep.
All right. How about we just move on into feedback and closing? So feedback and closing 1845. 1845. Okay. Well, for Windows, Jamal, for Windows, that's probably last week. But all these other companies seem to do it around Tuesdays as well. Okay. Feedback in 3, 2. Well, Captains, hailing frequencies are now open, and we're ready to receive all of your incoming messages. No, what the fuck?
over. Oh, yeah.
Going with that. Well, Captains, hailing frequencies are now open, and we're ready to receive all of your incoming messages.
Last week we didn't ask a community question, but as the freaking fantastic fans you all are, you let us know on Facebook if you're planning to make a new Discovery era Klingon and get the exclusive outfit.
Yeah, I know Panda. I get it. Agrela says on Facebook, for sure, but I really want a Kelpian.
Am I reading this next part? I think
Yeah,
Tony
it's
should.
pretty straightforward. Yeah. It's supposed to be.
Oh, you. Remember. Warrior!
Wait, I don't have to say warrior, but how do you say that word?
Gobi.
Gobi.
Better ask Allie. Go get Allie.
Ask Ellie. I'm like, I don't know what no is. All right. Famed Klingon cosplayer David Holquin said, Gob. Dang, I don't know how to say this.
Bang! Or something like that. I don't know.
All
Just
right.
Make it sound exotic.
Famed Klingon cosplayer David Holquin said, "Gobe," which is Klingon for no. When fellow Trekkies challenged him as to why not, he responded, "I don't know what those things are on Discovery, but they don't look like Klingons." After a few more debate points, the argument ended with Mike Tripp dropping an Obi-Wan Kenobi meme saying, "They're all Klingons."
No, the meme is, these are not the Klingons you're looking for. That's what the meme should be.
And you have to do a hand
That's
wave.
not what
Yeah,
this
that's right.
says.
Yeah, I know what
Move
it
along
says.
now.
But the meme's wrong. It's wrong.
Move along.
Yeah. The Discovery Klingons are not the Klingons you're looking for.
Well, over on Twitter, when it was announced that the faction walls were kind of sort of coming down, for at least for starships anyway, we wanted to know if that excited you.
Sir Boulevard replies, "The
Or
X."
Boulevard.
Did I not just say
You said Boulevard.
that? Well, that's because I've had whiskey.
That would
explains it.
explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to have this Zoom happy hour at work earlier, so there.
Team building exercises, drinking over the internet. Yay!
Yeah, it was a lot earlier. Sir Boulevard replies, "The X faction ships? Yes. Losing the X faction console boxes? No. In fact, that seems to be a bad choice for both consumers and Cryptic, devaluing their lockbox and making ships double or more in demand just for a console."
From TJ from the block TJ from the block. Okay. TJ from the block responded, "They need to keep the factions distinctive." And TJ, I disagree wholeheartedly, 100%. I think that for a 10-year-old game where there is such an imbalance between the red versus blue player base, I think that what could possibly keep the game refreshed and alive and ongoing for another 10 years is to bring down the faction wall so that we can just all play together.
Golden Force 772 says, "I'm excited for RP purposes."
Well, that wraps up episode 494 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. But there are more great shows available to you on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Just visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for a complete list. Then be sure to subscribe to them all and share them with your friends.
And we can't forget to send a special thanks to some of our Patreon supporters like David K. Rutley, Peter Archibald, and Gerald Bosch.
Now, Captains, we haven't been asking community questions during the episodes, but our social media manager extraordinaire, Anthony, does post questions regardless of whether or not we say them here. So, check us out over on our social media channels for those. questions.
Captains, it's important to us that you get your voice heard, and then, well, you just said to do that.
Yeah, I kind of just said it.
You
That's
just kind of
all
said that. We're gonna skip that.
You know what? Why don't you say what I just said?
So do the community question thing too.
Yeah, what I just said. Yeah. No,
Okay.
We may not be asking.
I got you. Well, Captains, as you may have noticed, we failed to ask a community question again this week, but that doesn't mean we won't ask them later via our social media pages. That's right. Check us out. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/PriorityOnePodcast, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at PriorityOnePod, where you will see our social media manager, Anthony, transmit out the burning questions that we need burning answers to.
I feel like we need an ointment.
You do a salve. You need a salve, and then a wrap and some aloe vera, some aloe vera.
Dang. And if you're still craving
You're on
more,
fire tonight.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire, Jerry.
oh my god.
Bring us home so I can go find the shot wash and lock box.
Damn you. All right. And if you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, Anthony, me, plus the rest of the Priority One Armada. Saturday nights, the Armada broadcasts live to review the latest news from Star Trek Online and the Armada community, including spotlighting some of our amazing members. With regular giveaways, there is something for all Star Trek Online players, whether you're new or a veteran. Follow us on all our social media accounts for broadcast times, and if you'd like to join the Armada, visit PriorityOneArmada.com. And if you're a captain rank in any of our fleets, you know we have specialty fleets, including the Klingon High Council, which is perfect for your new Klingon recruits.
Ooh.
This episode of Priority One is brought to you by our patrons through patreon.com. And captains, during these incredibly difficult times, we are humbled by the support of our patrons who contribute a financial amount each and every month. They find value in this show and they appreciate the hard work that it takes. And for that, we are so very grateful. If you can't offer a financial contribution, that's okay too. Be sure to share this show on all your social media channels once it's published, because that's the next best thing to support Priority One.
And don't forget to tune in to Priority One Productions' Guard Frequency podcast at guardfrequency.com. Each episode, the Guard will take you inside the universe of your favorite space sims, including a tabletop adventure played out by your hosts. And Heroes Rise brings you up to date with the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Learn all about the latest publications, tools, tips, tricks, and traps in less time than it takes to skin a wyvern. Head over to heroesrisepodcast.com to discover their secrets.
Thanks to our audio editors, including Gray, William, Daniel, Rand, Roscoe, Lennon, and Skiffy. And, of course, to Brandon, who not only edits the show, but is our live stream technician extraordinaire. Thanks to our producer, Jake, and associate producers, Shane and Thomas. Together, they help us organize and write up our summary of the weekly headlines from the Star Trek multiverse. Thanks to our social media manager, Anthony. Thanks to our graphic artist, Henry, with support from Jason of the Priority One Armada. Thanks to the composer... Excuse me. Thanks to the composer of our theme music, Chris Watts. But most importantly, a big thanks to you, the Star Trek community, our listeners, because without your ongoing support, none of this would be possible. 12801, please. Alrighty then, captains, we are done for tonight. In 20 minutes, we start After Hours, which is available. The link to watch live is on our Patreon page. Again, it's $10 a month. I mean, I know that during these crazy times, it's hard to say that it's not much, because $10 can go a long way. But if you are interested and you think you have the financial means to support the show, visit us over at patreon.com/priority1. There you will see the recent post with the link to After Hours. So we'll be starting After Hours in about 15 minutes or so. Until then, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, good night.
Go up on a shot flash lock box. Find your mother inside.